let me introduce her and let's start with your journey, ma'am. How did you start it?
Thank you so much. How I started my journey in public speaking is a interesting question. I spent 12 years speaking to computers in numbers. So I studied economics from Indian Statistical Institute, got campus placed as an actuary at ICICI Prudential in Mumbai, and thereafter I worked as an actuary, which is all to do with numbers for a very long time. Back in 2004-5, I felt very unwell, and I thought that I will take a little break, which is what burnt out, and you can only work after you have healed. And I took a little career break, and I thought that I would be back in no time. While on break, I started to write and I started to speak. And as luck would have it, I discovered that I had totally unexplored gifts there, and the journey really took off. I was very richly rewarded. I got very big invites to a number of places, and I started working on certain causes that were very close to my heart. And all in all, I very soon discovered that I have actually gone back to my career, but this time it's a different career. As a gender sensitivity advocate, as a novelist. My first book came out in 2017. As a public speaker, as a social cause influencer, did 2 TEDx till now and a number of important platforms. So it kind of became very organically a second career for me.
Yeah. Amazing, ma'am. So you were into, I guess, more into statistical something, like you have done, your master MS in that. So why did you choose being, you can say like a motivational speaker, storyteller, or something? This is very, different. And so why did you choose that? Because you must have so many options after that.
Right. So I studied economics. I am a master's in quantitative economics from Indian Statistical Institute. And then I spent many years studying and cracking very difficult exams, which is in the place of stochastic calculus and financial economics and everything to do not with creativity. Frankly, if you ask me whether I chose this new path or this new path chose me, is a question even I am trying to unravel. Because while going through my journey, of course, I used to be an avid reader as a child, and there was always this creative pursuit that was hidden in me. I took that more as a hobby. I was always a big reader and all. But whether this can at all become a career is something that I discovered much late in life. The stories and the causes that I stand for are deeply personal, something that I have actually seen firsthand and something that I feel very strongly about, especially, even as you don't have to be a big victim to be able to, suffer certain things that are not there out in the society. I feel that there is a lot of lack in awareness of emotional well-being. There's a lot of lack in creativity. Like there isn't enough space for us to be creative and to be articulate, to talk about emotions. Yeah. The education system is all about IQ and scores and cracking exams and getting jobs, but nobody talks about emotional connect. But if you really see in real careers, those marks and those numbers can only take you to a certain length. After that, it is a lot about how you present yourself, what is your personality, how well you can communicate, how well you can write, you can express, how authentic you are, how you have experienced life, how you can take things on your stride and not get stressed out. All of those things come as life lessons. They don't come as academic specializations. I grew my natural, wisdom in them through my journey of falling sick, also as a woman working in a very hardcore and highly demanding corporate job, and as a mother to a very young child while doing that, I saw firsthand things that we can do better without harming anything, but how we can just be better communicators or better negotiators, or how we can feel less lonely at our work. And it is very important that somebody talks about it. So who better than yourself? So I really started being a speaker and a writer because I thought I wanted to put my voice for certain causes so that I can pay forward. For people who come after me, I wish and I hope that I can at least make them feel that somebody has been there and they're ready to share their vulnerability and they're ready to share their stories, and that will give them hope. And also with more conversations around such areas, people will be more aware, because unless people are aware, you feel like you are alone in this scene. So I think it is very important. It is not like a motivational speaker with n number of followers on social media, or to, there is no parameter. It is very important that whatever we are doing, even in our dining table, we have conversations and we speak and we talk about important issues. And that is just what I am doing. Everything else that I am getting as recognition is actually a side effect. But what I'm essentially doing is talking about things that nobody talks about. And it's very important to talk about
health that. We talk about, like, it causes because of not talking to the people. And
right.
Like everybody is affected, most probably like 50%, 60%. People don't express because of it. So yeah, this is really important.
Yes, emotional suppression is a huge problem. If you think of, the discipline of psychology, for a very long time, psychology was actually a study of insanity. Only people who are like absolutely mad, they are taking off their clothes and running down the roads and screaming and doing weird things, we would think that psychology is a case study and the study of their brain. Now we realize that psychology has a new stream called positive psychology, because what they're seeing is the average level of wellness. Happiness is only one form of wellness. Happiness we use very loosely, but what really is important is fulfillment, having meaning in life, having a purpose in life, having good relationships, having self-care, having self-love. So positive psychology also became a discipline on its own, because people realize that it is not enough to talk just about insanity. The average level of, how we are living needs some attention. So you would know that now in the UK, there is a ministry of loneliness, because on an average, we are so lonely and we cannot express because nobody has time. We are running all the time. So I feel that creativity, creative writing, not only for publication, but also for journaling, also for self-therapy, just to ask ourselves, where we are trying to go, what are we doing, how are we doing it, does it matter? And public speaking. And by public speaking, I don't mean you have to have an audience of 100 people, but just to be able to express verbally. I feel that it is at the heart of wellness. It is more important than or having a huge bank balance and feeling lonely and depressed. And, we are seeing that everywhere, starting from teenagers to middle-aged businessmen to high-profile corporate jobs. We are seeing what mental health can do and what the lack of mental health can do. I think that public speaking and creative writing become very essential tools to navigate and to help us in our wellness.
Okay, ma'am, can you tell us about your venture that you have enrolled with Lighthouse, and please tell us our audience about that, like how they can also be an individual and contribute towards that.
Right. Thank you so much for asking that. Yeah. I am bringing all my work over the last many years in the space of public speaking and creative writing, and writing my book and writing social columns, and my many conversations as panelist, as keynote speaker, in the space of gender sensitivity, in the space of conscious leadership at workplaces and emotional wellness. So I have been doing all these things over many years now. And finally, now I'm bringing them all together into an offering in the name of Lighthouse. So my tagline for Lighthouse is storytelling, change making, and thought leadership. So storytelling is very important, and it forms the first step of everything we do. We tell the world stories, we tell ourselves what we are in stories, and storytelling goes back to how we parent, how we tell our kids, beware of fire, or beware of the snake, or go and do this, and if you study hard you will become this. So storytelling is in parenting, storytelling is in corporate leadership. Now we have really moved away from pie charts and bar diagrams and number talks. We are really now in the place of telling people stories that stick and that influence and that impact and that motivate people, so that we can get an engagement and connection, and we can totally synergize our vision.
Yeah.
So storytelling really becomes the first step of my work at Lighthouse. Next month, actually, 2nd September onwards, 1 week away, I am launching my first program from Lighthouse, which is called Mastering the Art and Craft of Powerful Storytelling. So in that program, I'm going to talk and teach all I know about storytelling, in terms of how to write your stories, how to tell your stories, how to use your voice, how to use your body, how to be authentic, how to have courage. They say that, the biggest fear is the fear of public speaking. So I'm going to demyth and deconstruct that fear and see how we can create a legacy, create a signature with our presence and with our words. So I will also do creative writing next, which is another form of storytelling through writing. Change making, again, is the many conversations we are doing all the time. Like even now as we are talking, I am talking with you, we are talking about awareness, we are talking about sensitivity, we are talking about advocacy. These are all change making in small or big ways. Yeah. And when I talk about thought leadership, this is actually about bringing storytelling and bringing change making together, and to effect some real changes in the world. Because there are many players in the ecosystem, and we cannot solve these complex problems by just one thing. If we are talking about women at workplaces, we have to talk about school timing, we have to talk about childcare, we have to talk about emotional health, we have to talk about parenting, we have to talk about gender discrimination, we have to talk about hiring biases. So thought leadership will bring all these conversations together, so that we can look at 360 degree of the problems. Because at the moment we are just doing a tip of the iceberg with single vacuum and vacuous addresses. I feel that we need to do much more in the space of change making. Otherwise it will be like you get motivated today and you forget about it tomorrow. So Lighthouse is my dream project. I'm looking forward to make some big moves with it. And I'm to whoever is listening, next month, starting 2nd September, I am starting a 20-hour intensive storytelling course. It is a program that is at the heart of storytelling. And if any of you would be interested, please come and write me a line, and you can join the program. It will be a 20 hours intensive over 12 sessions, 6 weeks, 1.5 months of storytelling, and we will learn how to speak better.
Amazing. And where people can register themselves, is there any link or something?
Right. So the link is, you can write to me. You can email Lighthouse, LIGHTHOUSE, lighthouse.calling, CALLING, lighthouse.calling@gmail.com. So if you send me an email at lighthouse.calling@gmail.com, or if you send me a text or a WhatsApp to my phone number, which is 9311202221. So 9311202221. So if you send me an email or a text and send me your email ID, I can email you back all the details of the program. We are starting next Wednesdays and Fridays, 11 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you write back to me, I will send you all the details, and you can definitely come and join me to this very enriching and transformational journey. I'm sure once we work on our ability and consciousness, how we want to tell our stories, a lot can change. In our relationships, in our professional success, in our personal life, a lot can change with storytelling. So do write to me or do send me a text.
I think, most of the people, they are very somewhere they could not able to learn these things. But even when you are getting the opportunity, in our times it was not there. So I could not able to find anything who can suggest me like how to talk in front of people. And there are so many things. There was a gap. So I think, ma'am, you are filling the gap right here, and people would able to get the opportunity, can enroll and learn from you a lot. So it's definitely going to help you for lots of things in future. Being confident also. So definitely go for it, guys. So I will share the post. Everyone can enroll. I will share on the your post.
That would be really helpful. Thank you, Madhumita. You are very right. Our education system so far, if you think of it, we actually have an education system that dates back to the industrial age, where we were taught to just, mug up and rote learning and write 100 marks in 3 hours and not show our answer scripts to somebody, to our friends, so that we can score the highest. But when we go out in our careers, even in our personal lives, you see that there are many soft skills that were ignored. And creativity is so badly ignored that we lose our touch with ourselves, forget about our touch with the rest of the world. And so we become very emotionally suppressed, just as we were discussing. Now with the new education policy, I feel that it is not just the students, even the teachers will have to mainstream communication, written expression, articulation, because not everything we do is longhand writing, right? We speak so much more than write. And we write also in short, like emails and texts. So we need to get better at everything. And soft skills become very important, more than your degrees. And because degrees belong to the CV, but once you are at the job, it becomes very important to become articulate and engaging, interesting, to hold your audience to whatever you are saying, to make an impact, to be remembered, to be unforgettable with your iconic signature. I feel that soft skills are going to be a thing of the future, and soft skills are going to be very important with the new education policy.
Are we connecting colleges as well?
Yes. So I am actually, this course I am opening it to everybody above the age of 15. And college students, I feel, is the most, critical cohort that needs to learn this, because it will be a huge differentiator. They are a product of the old education system, but they are also a big part of the new employment system. And they are the bridge. In fact, last year in October, I was invited to do my TEDx, my second TEDx at a big college in Delhi. And I had the opportunity to talk to, 300 young girls who were passing out of college and getting into the corporate scene. And I feel that, it's a huge privilege to talk to that bunch of people, because they are going to be the future HR, they are going to be the future interior decorators, they are going to be the future leaders, they are going to be the future industrialists. And that is the time, if it did not happen in your class 7, you cannot go back and fix it. But if you are now going to get into your career, if you consciously build on this skill of communication, it will be perhaps the largest differentiator in your life. I think that people who are already holding job, it is going to be very important for them, for their promotions, for their success. But people who are entering the workforce, this will be a game changer. So yes, and it is so interesting to work with young people, because that age, early 20s, and when they're just starting up, being in a startup, being a corporate job, the first impression is the last impression, as many people say. And if they can create a robust first impression, and if they start with a bang, it can only go higher from there. So I'm very, very excited about that bunch of people, young, early 20s and late, late teens. Those are the people who have so much to
express and so many new ideas. But at times the ideas stay suppressed because they don't have the right words, articulation, confidence, communication, writing in the right style, putting yourself out in the world to get that courage. I think it can be a game changer for them.
Definitely. I think, the most of the people will enroll, and I think, ma'am, thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you so much. That's very sweet of you, and you are, such a pro at your job already. It's brilliant, and yes, I mean, do keep an eye. Everybody who's listening to you, Madhumita, do, even when we are not conscious, our body and our words are like a 24/7 telecasting machine. Even if we are not conscious, we are saying something. Even with our silence, we are saying something. And people are always, people are perhaps not so aware, but we are always judging and we are always measuring each other up. We are always trying to sense, how is this person? Can I work with her? Can will it be good? Will it be bad? So we have these automatic systems in our brain. If we are conscious about how we carry ourselves around, how we present ourselves, how we speak, how we express, how we write, now everything is digital. So how we use our face, how we use our eyes, how we can maintain a gaze, how we can use our hands, how we can create a connection, emotional as well as intellectual. I think, that is a skill you won't want to miss out on, because that will be the game changer of the future. And it is so important that it becomes mainstream now, which it will become with the new education policy. It has to be, it has to be a part of everything we do, because if we are unconscious, we are giving away the power to somebody else. We better take that power back, and we better learn how to do it.
Right. Amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think, we have learned a lot from you, and let's keep in touch, and we will keep on doing such kind of session for the people so that people will be more aware of that. So thanks a lot, ma'am.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, guys, stay safe, and let's, keep inspiring each other and keep growing. So thanks a lot. Bye.